as we proceed to give you what you need. The most difficult areas for those who are researching the extraterrestrial subject is the large number of extraterrestrial races that are in the testimonies of a variety of whistleblowers/contactees/abductees and other sources. A whistleblower is a person, usually an employee, who exposes information or activity within a private, public, or government organization that is deemed illegal, illicit, unsafe, or a waste, fraud, or abuse of taxpayer funds. What is a contactees? A person who is contacted by alien beings, especially through an abduction. The word abduction means the action or an instance of forcibly taking someone away against their will. Alien abduction refers to the people reporting their real experience of being kidnapped by extraterrestrial beings and subjected to physical and psychological experimentation. What is abductees? A person who has been abducted. What do aliens do to you once you have been abducted into their spacecraft? Many abductees say this has happened to them. Usually the alien probe is inserted into the rear end, mouth, and eyes. There are many different types of alien species in the universe that visit or have visited your planet. There are just over 36 trillion worlds in this galaxy alone with similar humanities to your own, but only a few races are involved with your evolution. Your human DNA is made up from 23 different races. You have 2 chromosomes from each alien race which give you 46 chromosomes. People say that they are not kin to the Anunnaki. They better wake up. You have 23 races encoded into your DNA. One being the Anunnaki. A chromosome is a long DNA molecule with part or all of the genetic material of an organism. Most eukaryotic chromosomes include packaging proteins called histones which, aided by chaperone proteins, bind to and condense the DNA molecule to maintain its integrity. What is DNA? Deoxyribonucleic acid is a molecule composed of 2 polynucleotide chains that coil around each other to form a double helix carrying genetic instructions for the development, functioning, growth and reproduction of all known organisms and many viruses. DNA and ribonucleic acid are nucleic acids. Hundreds of sightings, abductions and first-hand accounts have made it possible to distinguish several distinct alien species. In this book is a list of extraterrestrial beings that have been reported in close encounters, claimed, or speculated to be associated with UFOs. UFOs are unidentified flying objects which are popularly known to remain unidentified in terms of existing technology or natural phenomena even after rigorous attempts at identification. We know what they are. They are craft driven by off-world beings. Alien was a general-purpose term used in the galaxy by humans and even some robots to refer to anyone of a sentient species that was not a human. Sometimes, the term non-human was used interchangeably. Alien was a human-centric biological and sometimes political term to describe a sentient species or a person of a species other than humans or some near humans. The term may have been derived from the first impression of early humans, when they had their first contacts with species from other planets. However, it seems to have been prevalent even in subsequent millennia. Species were unique life forms. They were generally divided into 3 classifications based on their level of sentience: sentient, semi-sentient, and non-sentient. A species was a group of living organisms capable of interbreeding. The galaxy and its many planets were teeming with diverse species. Members of a species shared a fixed set of observable biological characteristics. Some species were sentient, capable of intelligent thinking, while others were not. Species whose body plan resembled that of humans were referred to as humanoid. There were over 20 million sentient species known to the galaxy. Sentient species were sometimes referred to as races, which more accurately referred to groups or subspecies within a species. Sentience was the quality of self-awareness, abstract thinking, and higher reasoning. Sentience possessed a personality, feeling emotionally as well as thinking intelligently. Sentient species of the galaxy numbered in the tens of thousands, with 3 computerized protocol droids being programmed to recognize more than 30,000 of them. Non-sentient organics of the animal kingdom were variously referred to as creatures or beasts. There also existed creatures that appeared to have emerging sentience. What is a host? A person who receives or entertains other people as guests. An animal or plant on or in which a parasite or commensal organism live. What is a avatar? A manifestation of a deity or released soul in bodily form on earth, an incarnate divine teacher. An avatar also is a genetically engineered body, a human or other alien life form, a hybrid, meant to house a human mind. A temple for other beings to drive or to live in on the fifth and third dimensions. What is possession? The state of having control over something. When something has control over your body. Someone can be on the outside of your body and have control of you. So someone can possess you without having to be inside you. What is a walk-in? A walk-in is the concept of a person whose original soul has departed their body and has been replaced with a new, different, soul. What is biology? The study of living organisms, divided into many specialized fields that cover their morphology, physiology, anatomy, behavior, origin, and distribution. Biological entities means pertaining to biology or to life and living beings, that which is perceived or known or inferred to have its own distinct existence, living or non-living. Droids or robots were also capable of being sentient, although as with organic beings, droids, such as transformers and other robots. What is a soul? Soul is the life force of an individual. People's eyes are a window into their soul. In ancient Egypt we called the Ka the spirit and the Ba the soul. We taught that all living things had a Ka, from plants to animals and on up to the gods, which was evident in that they were, simply, alive. The Ba is most often translated as soul and was a human-headed bird aspect which could speed between earth and the heavens and, specifically, between the afterlife and one's corpse. We as ancient Egyptians believed that a soul was made up of many parts. In addition to these components of the soul, there was the human body. According to ancient Egyptian creation, the god Adam created the world out of chaos, utilizing his own magic. So this is the witches' and wizards' creeds. Order out of chaos. What is a spirit? Spirit is the vital principle or animating force within all living things. What is instinct? Instinct is the inherent inclination of a living organism towards a particular complex behavior, containing both innate and learned elements. Instinct, an inborn impulse or motivation to action typically performed in response to specific external stimuli. Today instinct is generally described as a stereotyped, apparently unlearned, genetically determined behavior pattern. Producers, or autotrophs, make their own organic molecules. Consumers, or heterotrophs, get organic molecules by eating other organisms. A food chain is a linear sequence of organisms through which nutrients and energy pass as one organism eats another. In a food chain, each organism occupies a different trophic level, defined by how many energy transfers separate it from the basic input of the chain. Food chains are directional paths of trophic energy or, equivalently, sequences of links that start with basal species, such as producers or fine organic matter. A food chain is a linear network of links in a food web starting from producer organisms and ending at an apex predator species, detritivores, or decomposer species. A food chain also shows how organisms are related to each other by the food they eat. Each level of a food chain represents a different trophic level. Food webs consist of many interconnected food chains and are more realistic representation of consumption relationships in ecosystems. Energy transfer between trophic levels is inefficient with a typical efficiency around 10%. This inefficiency limits the length of food chains. Organisms of different species can interact in many ways. They can compete, or they can be symbionts, long-term partners with a close association. Or, of course, they can do what we so often see in nature programs: one sucker can eat the other sucker. That is, they can form one of the links in a food chain. In ecology, a food chain is a series of organisms that eat one another so that energy and nutrients flow from one to the next. For example, if you had a hamburger for lunch, you might be part of a food chain that looks like this: grass, cow, then human. But what if you had lettuce on your hamburger? In that case, you're also part of a food chain that looks like this, lettuce or plant. Then human. Photoautotrophs, such as plants, use energy from sunlight to make organic compounds, sugars out of carbon dioxide in photosynthesis. Other examples of photoautotrophs include algae and cyanobacteria. Chemoautotrophs use energy from chemicals to build organic compounds out of carbon dioxide or similar molecules. This is called chemosynthesis. For instance, there are hydrogen sulfide oxidizing chemoautotrophic bacteria found in undersea vent communities where no light can reach. Autotrophs are the foundation of every ecosystem on the planet. That may sound dramatic, but it's no exaggeration. Autotrophs form the base of food chains and food webs, and the energy they capture from light or chemicals sustains all the other organisms in the community. When we're talking about their role in food chains, we can call autotrophs producers. Heterotrophs, also known as other feeders, can't capture light or chemical energy to make their own food out of carbon dioxide. Humans are heterotrophs. Instead, heterotrophs get organic molecules by eating other organisms or their byproducts. Animals, fungi, and many bacteria are heterotrophs. When we talk about heterotrophs' role in food chains, we can call them consumers. As we'll see shortly, there are many different kinds of consumers with different ecological roles, from plant-eating insects to meat-eating animals to fungi that feed on debris and wastes. At the base of the food chain lie the primary producers. The primary producers are autotrophs and are most often photosynthetic organisms such as plants, algae, or cyanobacteria. The organisms that eat the primary producers are called primary consumers. Primary consumers are usually herbivores, plant eaters, though they may be algae eaters or bacteria eaters. The organisms that eat the primary consumers are called secondary consumers. Secondary consumers are generally meat eaters, carnivores. The organisms that eat the secondary consumers are called tertiary consumers. These are carnivore-eating carnivores, like eagles, or big fish. Some food chains have additional levels, such as quaternary consumers, carnivores that eat tertiary consumers. Organisms at the very top of a food chain are called apex consumers. Decomposers are sometimes considered their own trophic level. As a group, they eat dead matter and waste products that come from organisms at various other trophic levels. For instance, they would happily consume decaying plant matter, the body of a half-eaten squirrel, or the remains of a deceased eagle. In a sense, the decomposer level runs parallel to the standard hierarchy of primary, secondary, and tertiary consumers. Fungi and bacteria are the key decomposers in many ecosystems. They use the chemical energy in dead matter and wastes to fuel their metabolic processes. Other decomposers are detritivores, detritus eaters, or debris eaters. These are usually multicellular animals such as earthworms, crabs, slugs, or vultures. They not only feed on dead organic matter but often fragment it as well, making it more available for bacterial or fungal decomposers. Decomposers as a group play a critical role in keeping ecosystems healthy. When they break down dead material and wastes, they release nutrients that can be recycled and used as building blocks by primary producers.